Another fish on.
Hey, welcome to the 5th episode of Fire Island Catch and Cook. It is 5:30 a.m. and we're just at first light right now. We're going to be targeting weakfish today, and there's a couple of spots on the south shore of Long Island and actually the north shore of Fire Island that I'm pretty certain that weakfish are in, and they're plentiful right now. The tackle that I'm going to be using are these soft plastic gummies. So you can use, Bass Assassins with jig heads or these Fishaholic finback shad. I'm going to be careful because the reason weakfish have their name is that they have weak jaws and you'll kind of rip a lip and pull through that. So we want to be careful with that. The other thing is, in an ideal world, I'd be checking my killie trap, seeing if I have any live killies to throw for weakfish, or even peanut bunker is ideal bait. It's like a candy bar for fish, not just weakfish, but any fish. I don't have those today, which I'm going to use the soft plastics. Other than that, the Fire Island Catch and Cook store is now live, and all orders placed in June are going to be sent with a free bottle of FICC hot sauce. So stay tuned on that. It's fireislandcatchandcook.com. There's a link to that in my YouTube channel, About section, and on the front page of my Instagram. So we have some hoodies, long sleeve tees, short sleeve tees, and then the UV protection shirts up to SPF 50 for fishing. I love that shirt. It's super soft. So check that out. We're going to head out to our spot, and I'll see you guys out there.
One on the boat, skunks off the boat. He's short. Oh, just short. Another fish on. All right, so we have our nice 16-inch weakfish right here, and he's just barely legal, but it's an absolutely beautiful fish. They got these little teeth in there, but really good eating. And let's see if we can get another before we go back to the dock.
All right, so we're headed back to the dock. We're gonna fillet that weakfish. It was kind of a slow day of fishing. I was out here for a couple of hours, and when I was first throwing my Bass Assassin with a 3/4 ounce jig head, I think it was a little bit too heavy to get that flutter action for the weakfish to bite. So I switched it up with a lighter jig head and a small white gulp, the minnow gulp, I believe it's called, with the curly tail on it, not the grub. And the weakfish started biting. So I got on a short fish, got my keeper. I would have liked to see a little bit bigger of a weakfish to work with, but I'm happy that we're coming home, you know, with something to cook. So I'll see everybody back at the dock. We're gonna flay it up, and then we'll get into the kitchen.
All right, so we got our weakfish right here. This is gonna be the exact same way we've filleted every other fish, so I'm gonna do it pretty quick. We are going to go on an angle and then cut down the spine right here. Fillet number one. Flip them over. Two fillets. Boom. Boom. I'm going to use this carcass in my killie trap and hopefully get some killies in so I have some live bait soon. Now that I have my two fillets, I'm going to meet you guys in the kitchen and we are going to do weakfish tacos. So I'll see you guys in the kitchen.
Welcome back to the FICC kitchen. We're gonna get right into making these weakfish tacos, and I'm also gonna prepare a Mexican street corn on the side, which is a favorite of mine. I wanna make these tacos as authentic as possible, so I'm gonna create my own corn tortillas, soft shell, out of Masa flour. And one thing that I think is really important with tacos is that they always have some sort of crunch factor on them. So because we're using soft shells, I'm gonna lightly fry the weakfish, and I also want to add some crunchy garnishes on there like radish and pickled red onion. So I popped myself a nice Montauk watermelon, which pairs very well with this meal specifically. And let's get right into the fish prep. So I want to generously coat the fillets in sea salt. I talk about this all the time. What it's gonna do is pull the moisture out of the fish, take some of the fishy taste out of the fish. You can be very generous with this because we're not gonna be cooking it with all this salt on there. Once it comes out of the fridge, we're gonna wipe it off and then we're gonna prepare it to fry. So I'm gonna pop a lardo in the fridge and we're gonna get this in like 1 to 4 hours. And that's about how much time you need for that. All right, while the fish is brining, we're gonna get the fish fry slurry together. So I'm gonna start out with a 1/2 cup of cornstarch, a 1/4 cup all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, season it up with some smoked paprika, garlic powder, chili powder, about 2/3 cups of water, and we're gonna take a whisk and just make that a nice consistent liquid. All right, once that's all whisked up, we're just gonna put that off to the side, and then once the fish is ready, that's going to be dunked and fried. Next, I'm gonna get into our garnishes. So the first thing I wanna do is I wanna do my pickled red onion. And this is a very simple but delicious garnish to put on anything. So I'm just gonna cut the onion up, take the skin off, and I wanna cut very thin slices of this. Now we're just gonna kind of break up these pieces, and I'm gonna throw the onion into a jar. Got our 2 lines. You want to make sure that they're kind of like soft so that we can squeeze them really easily. And I'm going to cut them in half and just squeeze them right over the top of the onion. I just want to kind of toss it up a little bit. This is something you can prepare the night before or even a few days before. The more lime juice you have, the better. And this will stay, if you kind of cap it and close it off, you can keep it in your fridge for like up to a couple of weeks. And it really tastes good on everything. We're gonna do some radishes. So I'm just gonna take a couple of these guys. The smaller the radish, the better. And this is still just adding to our rainbow that we're gonna build on top of the taco. Same deal with the jalapeno. And then we're gonna take some cilantro and just chop it up. And then we also have our grated cotija cheese, which I get from Restaurant Depot, and the FICC hot sauce is a must-have. Now we're gonna prepare our tortillas. So I have Masa flour, also from Restaurant Depot, and we want 2 cups of Masa flour, a few pinches of sea salt, and 1.5 cups of water. I'm gonna start mixing it with a fork just to kind of bring everything together. Once it's kind of clumpy and mixed in, I'm then just gonna use my hand and mix it together. Once the dough is consistent and smooth, there is no need to knead this dough because there is no gluten in it. So I'm going to put it into this bowl here, take some plastic wrap, cover it, and I'm gonna let this sit for 10 minutes. Now we're ready to start forming small little ping pong size balls of dough. I'm just gonna roll them up with my hand, place them in this bowl. All right, and our tortillas are ready to go. We are then later going to take them out by the griddle. We're gonna press them in the tortilla press, and we're gonna have fresh homemade tortillas. And our last item to prep is the street corn. So everybody knows how to pull a husk off a corn. I'm not gonna waste your time with that. I then have a wooden dowel or skewer, whatever you wanna call it. I'm gonna put it inside of the corn. Cut the excess. Repeat. I have my 2 corns prepped on the rod, and we're gonna make the base of the Mexican street corn. So I'm going to take a 1/2 cup of sour cream, or you could use Mexican crema, put it right into the bowl here. Another 1/2 cup of mayo. Then I have some queso de fresco, just gonna throw that in there. I really like this chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. And what I would say is if you don't have access to this, is another Restaurant Depot item. Just use ground chipotle peppers. Those are just fine. So you kind of have the whole pepper with the adobo sauce, and I'm just gonna chop it. We're gonna go right into the bowl with that. We'll take another lime, and I'm gonna get probably like a teaspoon worth of lime zest right in there. Then I'm gonna cut the lime in half. Squeeze the juice right in. One to 2 cloves of minced garlic. And then about a cup full of full cilantro leaves. And I'm gonna chop these up. And let's just mix everything together in the bowl. All right, once it's all mixed together, we're gonna pop it off to the side. I'm gonna keep it in this big bowl because when the corn comes off of the griddle or grill, I'm then going to just paint it with this, and I want a big bowl to kind of catch any runoff of it. At this point, we're gonna fire up our grill, we're gonna fire up our griddle, and we're gonna start prepping the fish to fry. So we're popping it out of the fridge after it's brined for a bit, 1 to 4 hours. I'm then gonna kind of wipe off any residual salt that's on the fillets. Now that our fillets are bone dry and kind of wiped off, we're gonna cut them into smaller pieces that we're gonna fry them up and use for the tacos. So each of these fillets should yield about 3 pieces of fish. So I'm gonna cut them on an angle, just like this. I'm gonna throw them on the side of the plate. Then I'm gonna take cornstarch, which in a lot of my other videos you can see this is what dries out the protein so that we can coat it and fry it. I think cornstarch is really the key to having a nice crispy and crunchy fry. So I'm gonna throw it onto the plate and then just kind of douse everything up in this. I don't want it to cake on too much, but you're gonna feel that the fish is nice and dry. Once everything's coated, let's take our fry slurry that we made earlier, give it a whisk just to kind of mix everything up together. And then I'm gonna take all my little fish fillets and just pop them right in there to sit. Then you take a sip of beer, and I'll see you out of the fryer. All right, so our fryer is fired up. Our griddle is screaming hot. And we're ready to get into this. It's all gonna kind of come together at the same time. So what I'm gonna start out doing is putting the corn right onto the griddle. And I'm gonna throw a couple of dollops of some Kerrygold on there, just so there's some oil for them to cook with. And I'm gonna take a cover and just kind of cover these up. So while those are cooking up, we're gonna do the first step in the tortillas. I have my tortilla balls here, and I have my tortilla press. Now, in the tortilla press, I have 2 pieces of parchment paper. So we're gonna put the ball in between both of these pieces of parchment paper. You could use a Ziploc bag that you cut up. It's really up to you. I'm gonna open it up, put the first piece of parchment. I'm gonna center this towards the back because it's gonna squeeze forward into the press. I'm gonna put it down and just apply some light pressure. And then we have our first tortilla. And I'm gonna throw that right onto the griddle. And by that point, we're gonna flip these like every 30 seconds, 3 times each. I'm gonna flip these around. Tortilla number 1 is good right now. Tortilla number 2 is being flipped. Make sure to keep turning this corn. We don't want to burn it. You can see it's getting nice and crispy. So we got our 6 tortillas done. I'm only making 6 tacos today, so I only need these. And I am going to cut the gas on this side of the grill so that the corn isn't gonna burn while we're frying up our fish. I'm gonna take our slurry fish and I am just gonna swirl and fry. Swirl, fry. Make sure it's not sticking to the bottom. Now I'm gonna let this fry for about 7 to 8 minutes. Really, when everything is kind of golden, crispy brown and floating on the top, we know that it's done. And here's our fryer cam. You can see these things are crisping up really nice. All right, so we're getting close to the fryer being done. I'm going to take 3 tortillas that I'm gonna cook with, and I'm gonna do a quick little dunk in oil and just throw them down onto the griddle. And this is gonna kind of crisp these up. Crispy fish, beautiful corn, and our tortillas are just looking absolutely gorgeous. Now that our tortillas just look great, a little crispy, a little soft, I'm gonna put them into a taco holder, which is gonna mold them really nice. And our fish is just looking delicious. I'm gonna let those drain out right there. We're gonna put these right onto a plate. Let's put together our meal. We'll put the fish right onto the tacos. Go with a little sour cream. Pickled red onion. Couple of pieces of jalapeno. Top it off with the cotija cheese. Sliced radish. And then our FICC hot sauce. We're gonna take our Mexican street corn, we're gonna coat it with the base. Okay, take the cotija cheese, all over it. Smoked paprika. Number 2, and there we go. Mexican street corn, weakfish, lightly fried tacos with homemade tortillas. I can't wait to eat this. We're gonna bring in our favorite taste tester, Felicia. Felicia is a taco lover. Oh man.
The fish is so light.
What's the verdict?
Best tortillas.
Cheers. Wow. It's got the light crunch. This is not heavy at all. The fish is nice and light. We got some kick with the jalapeno and the FICC hot sauce. A nice little salad on top. Different colors of the rainbow.
Love the pickled onions. Get this.
How do I like the corn?
Freaking delicious.
We're gonna continue to pig out on this. If you like the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe for future content. We'll see everybody soon, and I have a very special guest on my next episode of Fire Island Catch and Cook. He's a good friend and chef, so I'll see everybody soon.